Hello everybody, Stephen Howson, Snapchat Q&A. We are going to try and bang this out in 20 minutes. The clock is going. The chances, probably not going to happen, is it? It's probably going to be more like an hour, but we are trying for 20 minutes. So you find me over the snaps, videos, photos, all that sort of stuff. That's what we're going to go with. Let's get fired straight into it. So the first one is Mike Zomo, and he says, name one attacker, midfielder and defender you'd like to see United in January/next season. Attacker... Lukaku, midfielder, Cruz, defender. Don't know on the defender. Gurpreet man. What 11 do you see us having in 5 years? How many of the current squad remain? Only really Rooney and Zlatan, Carrick, Valencia. That's probably about all the ones that are going to go, really, isn't it? So you're looking at the basis of what we've got right now, plus the influx of youth. And obviously, you can't predict ever when you're doing starting 11s who's going to come into the side in 5 years' time. You don't know what. I mean, Christ, what 13-year-old there is at the club at the moment that might break onto the scene as an 18-year-old. You don't know what 15-year-old there is at Leeds or Wickham or somewhere like that that might rise to fame in the next couple of years and be a first-choice player by the time 5 years rolls around. So it's really hard to predict what you got for 5 years, but this is why I'm positive about United's future going forward, because you look at the age of De Gea, of Shaw, of even Blind, Bailly, Pogba, Schneiderlin even, and Marshall and Memphis, and you look all the way around the squad and you go, we're alright going forward for the next few years. No problem at all whatsoever. Conor McLeod 0 says, Manchester United's greatest ever player, it's Bobby Charlton, and there is no arguments. The guy's life, the guy's career is like a Hollywood film, isn't it? You go, okay, so you're a Busby babe, you come through the youth system, you make your debut as a teenager, you survive Munich, you then go on to like avenge what happened to your friends almost in true Hollywood style 10 years after by winning the European Cup. Oh, you won the World Cup as well? Alright, okay. And when you retired, you was the leading appearances for your club and record goal scorer for your country, and you won a Ballon d'Or. It's Bobby Charlton, or go fuck yourself, isn't it, really? It's can only be Bobby Charlton. D Hurley 11 says, do I think Memphis can play as a number 10 like he did in the US tour? Yeah, it's gone. I do think there's a number of options open for Memphis, and I wouldn't mind seeing him on the right hand side as an out-and-out winger, hitting the byline and getting a cross in all honesty, because I think he's got that in his locker. Valid Chima says, do I watch the NFL and do I think Bale is realistic? Yes, I do think Bale is a realistic option as a sign-in. I do think that we are a club that he wants to go to as soon as he's done with whatever he's got to do at Madrid. I don't think he'll stay at Madrid for the rest of his career. I do think he'll move on at some point, and I do think Manchester United is the obvious destination for that. I don't really watch NFL, no. I don't mind it if it's on. I'll watch it. I quite enjoy it. The game's just took too long, mate. 4 or 5 hours. What's all that about? When me and the missus were on honeymoon, we went to UCLA. We did the tailgating thing. We was there at 7 in the morning. The game didn't even start till lunchtime, and then obviously you sat out there till 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Got sunburnt as fuck. Did not expect to be out that long for a game that it realistically is like what, an hour, or should be, without all the timeouts and that. Steve-O37 says, with the attention Rashford getting, how do you make sure he stays grounded? That's the job of everybody at the club, and that's the job of his teammates, and sometimes they don't stay grounded. You could argue Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't grounded. He had his head in the clouds, he wanted to be this prima donna, but guess what? That was also what drove him to be one of the greatest in the world. I think it's just inherent in his personality. Rashford doesn't seem the kind of guy that's going to get carried away with it, I don't think. So I just think it's all down to the work rate and the ethic that comes into him. I don't think people's personalities change. I think people's personalities are there all the way through, and you just see exaggerations of that as they become, in the public eye and stuff like that a little bit more. So, from all accounts, Rashford's, a hard-working, grounded lad. So, I don't see why that changes over the next whatever. People always point to Ravel Morrison and say, well, look what happened to Ravel Morrison. But Ravel Morrison didn't stand a chance. He was a troubled kid. He had a horrific background. If you know what happened to him as a child, the kid didn't stand a chance. Didn't know what a knife and fork was. Didn't have a fucking toothbrush. His teeth was fucked. He had to go and get his teeth all sorted out. He did not have the greatest childhood. Doesn't sound like that with Rashford. You know, he's just bought his mum a big fat house. He's moved in with her, I assume. So it seems like he's got a good family surrounding him. I think he'll be fine. Luke Gatfield says, do I think Di Maria was unsuccessful as United as the media made out, was influential when he played and could use a crossover with him like now? Yes, I think he was good. His stats was good. His stats was excellent, in fact, in terms of chances created, assists, and he chipped in with a few goals as well. But he didn't want to be here, and he bottled it. When he used I think he slightly used a little bit of the robbery to just fuck it off, and his attitude changed. His attitude changed in the way he was playing the game, and if it changed in the way he was playing, I'd argue it probably changed in the dressing room and that as well, and you can't have toxic characters like that around. So let the fucking door hit him on the arse on the way out. Fuck him. Harry Mills says, is Wayne Rooney a club legend? I know you say it's hard to argue, but in your opinion? In my opinion, no. In my honest opinion, there's a question mark, and if there's a question mark, then you can't have him as a legend. Legends should be up on a pedestal. I used to say Manchester United has got one legend and his name's Sir Bobby Charlton. That's, for me, should be what you're looking at. But legend means different things to different people. I think Wayne Rooney's stats are ridiculous. And if he'd have endeared himself to the fans in a way Paddy Everett did, in the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did, then it would be unquestionable. But it always feels cold. It always feels like a job. Wayne Rooney's personality has never come out to the fans. And I think that's the difference. I don't know. It's a tough one. Loads of people will be going mad and say, oh, I've got an agenda against him. I don't have an agenda against him. No one would be fucking happier than me if Wayne Rooney was running rings around people and fucking banging it in the net all the time. But that's not the case, is it? That doesn't happen. So I think there is a question mark over him. And I think a lot of match-going fans feel exactly the same way. You'd have to go a long way to find match-going Reds that think he is a legend. And there is definitely a split between match-goers and non-match-goers. And I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if that's because the people who are watching abroad are maybe being influenced a little bit by all the TV pundits who lick Rooney's arse, and obviously you don't get any of those comments when you're at the match. You just, it's everyone around you's influence a little bit, maybe more. I don't know. I find it hard to understand why there's such a split in the fan base like that, and it's one of the only issues that there is a split in the fan base. Everything else, it doesn't matter whether you're a fan from wherever you're a fan from, or if you're a match goer, if you're home and away or anything. Most of the things people agree on. But not Rooney. There's a real definite split, and it's weird. I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. You're entitled to your opinion as much as anyone is, as much as I am. So it's just the case that there is a question mark, undoubtedly, and there is a split between locals and matchgoers and foreign fans and stuff, and that's all I can say on it, really. For me, no, he's not. Jacob Gibbs, 1232. Can I have your beard? No. Fucking hell, I'm not even trying to pronounce this one. What kind of tactics will Mourinho play for the Manchester derby? I hope he uses counter-attack. And I hope he allows them to have a certain amount of territory and possession of the ball in certain areas, because you can't chase. When you have a team that's very good at the tiki-taka style of football, you can't chase the ball. If you chase the ball, you get found out, you leave gaps, and they exploit those gaps. That's literally the aim of tiki-taka, is to drag you out of positions to try and chase the ball. So you almost have to just right, okay, they can have it there, and we'll attack them when it comes here or something like that. So you have to be smart, you have to be patient, but then when you do turn the ball over, you need to turn it into a chance within 5-6 seconds. You have to be absolutely ruthless. J Dodger 737 says, do I think this could be a type of game that Pogba thrives in, and why? Yes, I do, because I think the midfield battle is going to be the key to this, and that's why I want to see 3 United players in midfield, because I think Fellaini could get swamped. I think there's an argument Pogba could get swamped as well, so I want to see as many people brought in to help out in midfield. Pogba's passing range and ability is going to be massive in this, because I would look to him to hit the wings, to hit whoever's playing, whoever the outlet is. I would look for Pogba, because I think he's probably the best passer that we've got in midfield. I would look for him to try and find those gaps with a over the top, a straight ball in behind the defence, something along those lines. But I think physically he can also impose himself quite a lot on the defensive side of the game. He keeps the ball very well. There's numerous reasons why Pogba's going to be very good in this, but I also think that he's a goal threat, and I think you'll find space you might not see our midfield having as many shots as City's midfield just because of the way the two teams line up, but I wouldn't put it past him. We saw in all of his games so far that Pogba is not scared of having a shot, is he? And he's got the ability, and he's got that in his locker, that if he takes a shot from distance, it could just fly into the top corner, couldn't it? And how fucking good would that be? Tom Dowling says, top 4 prediction. Done this one quite a few times. United, obviously. Chelsea, I think, are going to come second. I think City are going to be pushed into third. And obviously 4th is Arsenal. That's the way it goes. Eamon Sockerman says, Terrell Warren or Roshan Williams? Yes is the answer. I can't pick between the two of them. They're both a little bit different, but both fucking quality. So don't make me pick between the two of them. Rian Mulaney, I think this is a video, so let me just turn this up. Or Ryan Mulaney. Can't hear him.
Great midfield partnership. I think they would.
Let's replay that one. I didn't get that one.
Hi, it's a pleasure speaking to you. And do you think Angel Gomez and Paul Pogba could make a great midfield partnership? I think they would.
No, not as a partnership, but as a 3, yes. I think you have Tim. You need the more defensive minded, because I think Pogba can play the defensive role, but I think you nullify him if you let him play the defensive role. I would like to see him more box to box, almost do what the fuck he wants. Cover every blade of grass. Angel Gomez is the more Iniesta style, the creator style. He's the one that you want to be seeing ticking stuff in the opposition third. You don't want to give him defensive duties, because then you're going to make his best assets worse. So it's like, you don't want to give Pogba the defensive duties because it's going to nullify him. You don't want to give Angel the defensive duties. It's going to nullify him. So who's going to do the defending? That's why you need a midfield 3. That's where the Great Wall of Mensah comes in, and you have Timothy Fosu-Mensah sitting behind those two, just fucking mullering stuff left, right, and centre. Just completely. The defence might as well have the night off if Fosu-Mensah's in front of him, because nothing is getting through. And then all he has to do, and he can do more than this, but all he has to do is find a simple pass to Pogba, to Gomez, and then it's game over, isn't it? And that is a fucking brilliant potential midfield. I'd love to find out if they just decide one day, like they get the 18s in and the 23s, and they do like a bit of a combined 11 versus 11, a little bit of match rhythm sort of stuff. And if someone just goes, let's just fucking try it out. Let's just have Fosu-Mensah, Pogba and Gomez in one midfield and just fucking see how it does. I would give you my house to be able to watch that and see how that comes off. Because in my head, I think it's fucking perfect. I think it's an absolutely perfect midfield. 3 players that are potential world class. Pogba's probably world class already. The other 2 potential world class players at the top of their game. 3 entirely different footballers, but I think they would blend together and make a fucking awesome midfield 3. And then you just use pace and a bit of a battering ram as a number 9 around them, and it's game over, isn't it? And that is the basis of a fantastic football side. And it can play football the proper way as well. Let's find where we was up to. Okay, so mtoin123 says, given away Mourinho is utilising a fullbacks, who would be the ideal signing to replace Valencia next season? I haven't seen enough. I can't just do it like that because you get the light behind it, see. I have to do it at an angle. I haven't seen enough right backs in world football that I go, ooh, do you know what? Because there's obviously two ways around how you do this, and you think we can either find a nice defensive one, which is kind of what we did with Damian, or you have to find someone who's a little bit more of a winger, maybe a little bit like Raphael was, but you have to find someone who's very good at the defensive side of things as well. And I've not shut the door on Varela. I think Varela's potentially fantastic. Another full season out somewhere else. Let's have a look at how he does. Maybe he could be the option when he comes back, because he can deliver a ball. I think defensively is fantastic as well. Yes, he got twisted up by Coutinho, but Coutinho's mint. He's going to do that to a lot of defenders. Let's not throw him out after one fucking mediocre game, G Westwood 22 says, who will fill Zlatan's spot up front if he was to get injured? Tony Marshall is my first instinct to say Tony Marshall, but it could also be Rooney, the way Mourinho's spoken about him, because that frees up one of the headaches Mourinho's got in terms of, can Mkhitaryan come in, what about Mata, and where they're all going to play. So there's options, isn't there? And it might just be Rashford. The way Rashford's going, he might just go, fuck it, yeah, start as a number 9. There's options, which is good. We've got strength in depth all over the pitch at the moment, which is absolutely quality. Rory says, How would you like to see Mkhitaryan utilised, and how will Mourinho use him? Coincidentally. I quite like him on the forward three a little bit. I think he'd be better centrally, but we ain't seen Wayne Rooney dropped. So I think you're more likely to see him in that right forward sort of slot, coming in, dictating things from that sort of side of things, which I'm all right with, but I think you probably would get the best out of him as a number 10. How will Mourinho use him? Probably, as we said, on that right-hand side. He might interchange him with Rooney a little bit, bring him in, maybe push Rooney out to the right-hand side a little bit, because we know he can do a job out there if need be. It's more filling in than a preferred position of him, but you've got to be adaptable, haven't you? Tom Ayres says, would you start Rashford and Ibra up front, or maybe even Rashford out wide? In my preview, I put Rashford on the right side with Marshall on the left-hand side, and the reason for that is, as I said earlier, when you turn over possession in the games tomorrow with these inverted fullbacks that City are playing, and with the high line they're going to have, they're going to be pushed up so tight. That's the key to the tiki-taka system, is the compactness of the whole team. So the whole team goes up and down the pitch like this. So when you turn around as Raheem Sterling just on the edge of the opposition final third, you turn round and you've got three options to give the ball to. And that was what United didn't do really last season. We had quite a high line, but we was very spread out. Tiki-taka, everyone goes towards the ball. You come towards the ball and you offer options. There's 2-3 options every single time you've got the ball at your feet. And to do that, you have to have the fullbacks need to push up and be an attacking option, which leaves the two centre-halves on the halfway line, and you can get behind them with pace and fast turnovers. So if you can be very direct, let's say the ball's won on RD, by Fellaini. Fellaini needs to turn and just find the easy pass to Pogba. Pogba's going to hit one out towards the wing in the channels for Marshall and Rashford to hit the chase onto. You expect Zlatan to be in and around those final two centre-halves that are hanging around. He busts a gut. He gets into the box. You've got the City players facing their own goal instead of facing the players coming towards them, so they can't see where you're going. You bang a cross in, you score, it's 1-0. In theory. Doesn't always work like that, but that's the sort of way I would want United to play. We win the ball and we make a chance with him 4 or 5 seconds. That's what you've got to do. You've got to turn it over quick and get behind them, because there is space. But if you're slow and methodical, and think about this, you win on United's D. City's team is almost entirely in our half. They've left maybe John Stones just inside their half, talking 5 yards inside their own half. You win it on the D. And you pass it it goes from Fellaini to a centre half. As you're doing this, the City team is starting to withdraw back into its own half to prepare for the attack that's coming. And if you're slower than their defence withdrawal, then you're not going to get behind them, and you've got to get behind them to be able to exploit the space that's there. It goes along the centre halves and then maybe up one flank, probing a little bit, but no one really running or carrying or hitting a ball. That slow, methodical build-up, it's not going to be good enough. You're going to get caught and you'll just end up giving possession away because there'll be no options. So you've got to be fast, ruthless, and just looking to get in behind them. And I think if we can do that, I think we can really put them away. I really do. I'm confident about that. All right, let's get back on where we was. Still quite a few to go through. Dan Pexon, and we're at 20 minutes, aren't we? Near enough. Which two 2016 players would you put into the 99 and 08 teams? One each. Oh, shit. They were both pretty damn good starting 11s, wasn't they? And not bad squads overall. Zlatan probably would have done good in the 2008 side, because we still didn't really have that leader of the line. And that would have been interesting to see how he did with Rooney and Ronaldo either side of him as an attacking three. I think if you replace, Tevez with Zlatan, I think that's a good move. And then 99. 99. Almost a perfect footballing team. How do you take anyone out of that? Hard to take anybody out of 99. It won the fucking treble. So I can't see an argument for anyone coming out of that one. RC Chowla. What's my take on both teams' squads coming into the derby? It's gone off already. I think we addressed the issues that we had in the transfer window better than City did. We directly addressed. With Aguero missing, and if sold Boney, What are City going to do for a striker tomorrow? Iniacho? Fucking don't make me laugh. So I think we addressed areas, and we've got good backup in areas as well. It's a strong squad, undoubtedly. I think ours is stronger. This is another video. Jacob Davies, 17. Oh, it's a video, but it's how many goals can Rashford score this season? That's if he's carried on being utilised as an impact sub. I think there's a very good chance he can score near enough every time he comes on the pitch, because he's willing to commit defenders. And with the Premier League rules the way they are, and refereeing being as soft as shit as it is at the moment, like he'll draw a lot of fouls, he'll draw a lot of penalties, as we saw with the Galatasaray game. Running at people terrifies him, and he runs at people. His finishing's becoming super clinical, which it never was when he was playing in the underages, which is madness. I've never seen anyone ability change. Normally, their ability drops as they come up through the levels because it's harder, but Rashford seems to have elevated. It's mad. He can get double figures. He can certainly get double figures with a full season in front of him. Owen F10 says, best derby I've ever been to. I think the 4-3 Michael Owen one was pretty fucking spectacular. I was sat in K-Stand. I had a ticket in K-Stand for over 10 years. A long time I was in K-Stand for. And City are just to your left. When they equalised, was it Bellamy that got the equaliser after Rio tried to chip him? Bellamy equalised. It's the 90th minute or something like that, I think. The City fans, I've never fucking cheered a draw in my life. I might give it a... But I've never gone bananas. And they was going bananas like they just won everything. And I mean everything, from the lottery to the World Cup to the Masters to Wimbledon. Everything. They was going absolutely mental. So when Michael Owen sticks that in the back of the net in the 96th minute or whatever it was, we fucking lost our shit. And I've still got the scar on my shin. I can't get these jeans up. I've still got a scar on my shin because the seat in front of me broke. I ended up about 7 rows down and over the gangway, and I'm about 9 seats in, so it was just fucking limbs everywhere. It was absolutely quality. People got injured that day. It was absolutely fantastic. That was a proper balloon about when we scored. Fucking unbelievable. One of my uncles recorded the game on Sky. He sits in South Stand. Recorded the game on Sky, and then I would get random texts like throughout the year afterwards, like, just watch that goal again. Fucking mint. That was unbelievable. To go from it was a draw that feels like a loss, isn't it? Especially the way Dave celebrated it, and we've just gone, and just sunk. And then Michael Owen put it on. And I have to confess, as Michael Owen was being brought on, I think that was his debut. Or it might have been the first time he'd played at Old Trafford at least. I remember clapping. And I think Wes Brown was coming on or going off at the same time. It might have been a double substitution, but I remember turning around going, I'm not clapping Michael Owen. Fuck that, Scouse Knobhead. This is for Wes Brown. And then he went and did that, and I was like, alright, all is forgiven. That, I think, sticks out as one of the best ones for obvious reasons. Let's get the next one. Still quite a lot to go through, and we are over the time already, aren't we? If I can pick any current City player to play for us, who would I pick? Company. Craig Kane, 2001. Do I think Memphis will live up to the potential he had when he first joins, or be another Bebe? He's nothing like Bebe. He's infinitely better. He was scapegoated a lot because people had big expectations of him, but he was great at times last season. And I think Luke Shaw missing affected him more than others. Not on a psychological level. I think just the way they blended together on the pitch was really nice. And people overestimate how poor he was. He wasn't as poor as people were saying. He didn't have the assists and the stats and stuff like that, but he was still effective, and he was running at people, and he was dangerous. I think people was way too harsh on him. He said himself that he needed to work. He was surprised with how tough some of the defenders was, but also the way he was receiving the ball because of our style of play didn't really help him. I think he'd be great in a counter-attacking side. In a game like tomorrow, I don't think you're going to throw him in this game when he's not played at all season, but I think this is the sort of game that you would see the best out of him when he's got space to run into. Joe Juan Marino says, how many first-team debuts do you think Moo will give to youth this season? None or one, possibly. But I don't know. We'll definitely see in the Cups. I don't think he changes his team too much. Tuanzebe is the closest one to a debut, I think. But if everyone's fit at centre half, you know, there's quite a queue in front of him. So I'd be shocked with many, to be honest. Swag 94400 says, oh, where'd that one go? It disappeared on me. Can we meet up on the 14th of January? I'm coming for the game. French Time Devil. Yeah, we're outside Hotel Football. We're easy to find. Come find us. Carl says, can I do a loan review to keep up with our players? I'll try and stick it in the youth review, if I remember. James Dutton says, Howson, Riley and Fosu Mensah, do I think they'll get opportunities this year? And if so, when? Fosu Mensah might get them a little bit ahead of time because I think his development needs it. Riley will probably only get it when an injury forces something to the first couple of choice fullbacks on either side. I think Joe's got a future in the game, whether it's at United or somewhere else. I love his intensity, and he's probably too good to be playing in the under-23s at the moment. Maz says, what's the best way to get tickets to the Arsenal or Liverpool game? Just ballots. I haven't ever got in. Unfortunately, yeah, if you remember, you've got to go through the ballot, and you're not going to get one, basically. The chances are probably better for winning the lottery than getting one in the ballot for those games. They go so fast. And I don't even know how the ballot works, in all honesty. I've not been needing the ballot since, like, the mid-90s, when it was done by post. That was the only... And I didn't do it, my dad did it, so... I don't know, in all honesty. The other way, you've got to try and look for spares, but you're only really going to find singles. There's a couple of ticket accounts on Twitter, MUFC_tickets. They do face value only, so you're not going to get mugged off with a ticket price. But literally, it is that. Like, the amount of people have had messaging me saying, can I sort Derby tickets out? I haven't even heard of a spare going for this. It's been absolutely chaos. And it's been like that all season. It's not just the Derby, because the Derby couldn't get fucking spares for the Southampton game. It was absolutely mental. Farman Bond 007. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Why not give Gomez a shot at the first team? It's a true statement. If you're good enough, you're old enough. But I think physically he's got a little bit more to develop, and I think there's areas to his game that he's probably going to need that experience of playing against bigger people. But I definitely think he's worth... I think it's worth bringing him into the 23s and seeing how he does in the 23s after Christmas. Let him build that confidence of knowing how to boss a game at this level. Give him a shot in the 23s after Christmas. If he's still doing it to the same level, and the physicality is changed, like it will do, because you're looking at players potentially 7 years older than him, then I think it's probably time that you throw him on a bench and see what could happen. Because what is the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is he's allowed to leave, like Paul Pogba, without ever being given the opportunity. Or, 16, is it too young? Not if you're fucking good enough. But it is very, very young. So, I don't know. I would love to see it happen. Don't know if Mourinho's that guy. I hope he is. Let's put it that way. N. Qureshi says, in 10 years' time, Fosu Mensah or Angel Gomez, you can only have one. Fuck off! We've got them both. I don't only have to pick one. Faisal with a video.
Since Madrid and Atletico have transfer bans, who do you want us to get instead of Bale and Griezmann?
Why go for imitation when you can have the real thing? I would wait for Griezmann and Bale. Or Bale. Griezmann or Bale. You're not getting them both, are you? I would wait for those rather than try and push it and get someone who's inferior. Jeff Noski says, do I see Mourinho as a stepping stone to rebuild the club as a long-term option? I hope... He looks different. I hope he's treating this different to the jobs he's had elsewhere. I think potentially he could stay around a long time, but that's going to require him to be successful. So if he is successful, obviously we want to keep him around for a long time. It seems like, and everyone tells you that this is the job that he's always wanted. Let's hope it's the job that he's always wanted, and we'll see what fucking happens. Ryan with a video. United after Griezmann. Supposedly. I mean, I would love us to bring Griezmann in. I think he's one of the best players potentially available in the world at the moment. I'm going to try and blast through these last ones. Which are the current United players do I think could be a one-club player? You'd hope Rashford. You'd hope Rashford could stick around. Obviously, it's difficult to be a striker for that length of time at one club. You've got to be prolific. You've got to be productive in every single season. Otherwise, you get fucked off really quickly, don't you? It's probably easier to be a defender. Don't know. It could surprise you. It could be someone like Joe Riley. Could end up being, another Gary Neville at the club and be there for his entire career and be very successful. It could happen. He's young enough for that to happen to him. He's probably, with the ages of people ahead of him and the rumours that Darmian's being moved on, if he has a good season, he could step up and keep that position himself. Stranger things have happened, haven't they? Jack Gerard says, is it just me who's not predicting a boring game with City planning to attack and their weaknesses at the back? No, I definitely don't think it's going to be a boring game. I think the game's going to be pretty intense. The styles mash up nicely for quite a high-scoring game, but even a 0-0 can be exciting if there's opportunities. It's a 0-0 when no one fucking shoots. That's when it's boring. Nebi Balachu, you're going to have to tell me how to pronounce this name because you always send one in and I can never fucking say it. It trips me up every time. Rooney in a midfield three with Pogba and Schneiderlin. Well, yeah, I'd be alright with that. Oh, he's got another one. Yeah, I like the idea of that. Obviously, Schneiderlin's got a lot more movement in him than Rooney. I've predicted or want to see Rooney, Pogba with Fellaini doing the support behind him just for that height. Obviously, exaggerate the differences in the height between United and City and really go physical on them. But yeah, I think you've got to drag Rooney back from being a number 10 in this sort of game because he hasn't got a pace to really break anything anyway. So bring him back, give him that defensive cover. His work rate and his energy and his strength can help out in midfield and be that option that someone needs for an easy pass maybe, because it's going to be very crowded in midfield, I expect, tomorrow. So I would pull him back and make sure that we don't get overrun. Tyler Pick says, what's your opinion on Yaya Rodriguez? I've never seen him and he looks destined to the top. He's been around for a little bit and he's skilled. I don't know if I'd say destined for the top though. He's in a very tough division. In fact, no, there's not many people that aren't in tough divisions really. I mean, the heavyweight division is probably the easiest one to get to the top in at the moment. I think every other division, arguably flyweight as well, is a little bit stacked. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree destined for the top. Those straps are hard to come by, but they are changing hands fairly frequently at the moment, aren't they? Caleb Prosora. What's your view on United's future? Do you see things starting? Do I see United starting to plan things out? Yeah, I do. I still think there's a need for a director of football to oversee the overall implementation and planning, because I think the clock is ticking on Mourinho. Whether it's 10 years or 5 years or 3 years or 1 year, the clock is ticking and you are going to have to find a replacement. Who's the guy that is, got a bit of an eye on that? Like, if Mourinho goes in 12 months, who do we call? Is there a list of 5 names? If we go in 3 years' time, do we have a paper and pencil sort of list of 5 people that we're tracking and thinking of that could do this job? And are we talking to them? Do we know what their philosophies are? That was the thing that I didn't like with Moyes, and then we don't know if it happened with Van Gaal, and arguably it might not have even happened with Mourinho, but are we asking people to interview for this? Are we asking them what their philosophy is, or are we just anointing people and we going, you're the manager, you're the manager, you're the manager? We need someone who's got the philosophy of the club at heart and is finding people that match that rather than jumping from one manager to another, because when you're doing that, there's wastage in the transfer market, there's overhauls at the training ground, there's all these different sorts of fucking lurches from left to right in terms of how the club's run at this level, and that goes all the way down through the club as well. So the one thing that you can take your hat off to what City have done is when they brought in Bajiristan, or whatever he's called, knowing that they was going to bring Guardiola in, they've already started to implement stuff that's going to benefit Guardiola while he's at the club. Signings arguably made prior to Guardiola coming that would have suited Guardiola. There's changes in the academy and things like that. All this was geared up for Guardiola coming from them, and they had a long-term plan. Now, right or wrong, whether the plan ends up working for them or not, they still had a plan. It feels like we don't have a plan. And I would love us to have a 5-10 year plan. Now, Nicky Butt's talking to the parents of the academy next week about what the 5-year plan for the academy is, but that doesn't. he's not going to tell us what the 5-year plan for the club is, if he even knows. So it feels like we're doing a lot more in the academy. It seems like Nicky Butt's doing a lot of real good work in the academy, but we still don't know where the club's going at the top. Is it Woodward doing it? Is Fergie got a finger in there? Is it all Mourinho? Who is it? So we don't know. We don't know who that guy is. There was a lot of talk, wasn't there? I was going to bring the guy in from Atletico Madrid. And I would have really liked us to have brought that guy in, because he seems to have had Madrid running as a very good football club. Commercially, they can't fucking shine a torch to us, can they? But football-wise, Atletico Madrid, envy of a lot of places. So I would have liked him to come in. There was also talk of somebody else that I can't remember the name of coming in. Ultimately, we got none of them in. So that's one area that I can see United can improve on. A director of football that can do a bit of long-term planning and oversee managers. You know, if there's going to be a transition from Mourinho to whoever it is next, then there needs to be a guy that's making that as painless as possible. So when Mourinho goes, unlike when Fergie went, Fergie's like, yep, see ya. And then there's just this vacuum of like, well, who was doing that? Whose responsibility is... and no one knows what the fuck's going on. So if you have a guy that's overseeing the reign from one manager to the next, because we might be entering this reign where we've got a new manager every 3 seasons. And if that's the case, you need someone who's overlooking all of that. Abrahami says, can I see Spurs overtaking Arsenal in the next 10 years? Yeah, Pochettino's doing a very good job. They can go neck and neck. And they've I don't know if they've had to borrow for their stadium, so they might have to go through the same sort of period that Arsenal went through. I think the TV money's probably favouring them a little bit. The new stadium looks, on paper at least, like it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So they'll be able to attract the same way Arsenal can if they're willing to spend. And on the pitch, there's not much between them, is there? So, yeah, certainly do think they can. They would need to win a Premier League to be considered above that, but I think they can get above it. There's a couple more. Let's do 2-3 more. So, Simon, let's see what yours is. The way football is driven with huge expectation and with so much money in the game, can I ever see a player at 16 given the chance at the highest level like Rooney was? Yes, I can. Angel Gomez might be that guy. It might be 17 for him. If they're physically developed a bit more like Fosu Mensah was, then I think there's a real chance for that. But you're going to have to find someone who's absolutely exploding through the ranks as a 14, 15-year-old. So when they are 16, people are like, yeah, fuck it, throw him in. So Connor Dundalk. Carb loading for Sunday's marathon. Well, good luck with that, mate. Never fucking catch me doing a marathon. You might see me doing a Snickers, though. Ricky Harris says, does Suarez deserve the Ballon d'Or? Do you know what? He probably does, but I could never bring myself to say he does. So fuck him. Piper says, love your videos and all the full-time Devils work. Mourinho has always said he'll win the Champions League with us, with an English club. Do you think that'll be us, United? It won't be this season, will it? I do think there's another one. Shout out to my dog Tia. Hello, Tia. And that was the last one. I do think there's a real possibility that the team we're building can compete. You don't need to be the best team in Europe at that time to win the Champions League. It helps, obviously, but I don't think the very best team just automatically wins it every year. There's a lot of luck involved in terms of injuries, suspensions, timing of the matches, when that team peaks and all the rest of it. And we've seen unfavoured teams like Liverpool and Porto and Chelsea win it in recent years. So it can be done. I'm not saying United would play like that. I'm not saying United would win it in that sort of fashion. I would hope that they win it in the way that we've won it in previous years, where we've batted teams aside and been the best team in Europe. But it certainly could happen with Jose Mourinho. The guy has won it with unfavoured clubs in the past. You would think this United team is starting to get to the place where it's a little bit more favoured than those teams was. We still need a couple of signings. We're not perfect everywhere, but we're looking good. We're looking good that I would be comfortable that we can compete. And I think tomorrow is going to be a proof and a test of that. And I can't fucking wait. Right, I am wrapping this up because I am now on my way to go and get tickets, because I've been well fucked about today with tickets for this derby, for the under-23 derby. So thank you for watching. 40 minutes. We said we'd do 20. We doubled it. Whatever. I have to try and think of a title now. Thank you for watching. Please hit subscribe. Nice fat thumbs up. And Snapchat Q&A is out every single Friday. Tomorrow's video will be a review of the match after the match. Sunday is the Sunday Q&A, and Monday will be the vlog. So every day uploads. Hope you're enjoying them. The numbers suggest that everybody is, so thank you for that. I'll see you tomorrow. Laters.